into the thick end of traffic, the guys that were running inside of the top 10 overall at the third round of the Ural Trucks Fila Africa Inland Off-Road Championship. For Hanno and Peter, they got the problems encountered on the prologue, and they seem to follow them into the main race as well. Whilst they are super fast, no amount of speed on the track can make up for the time lost when you are stopped on the side of the road doing repairs. Their problems included a broken drive belt, a flat wheel, and the car was overheating too. The pit crew, although, did a great job. Maybe something to do with the girl power down on that side. In the end, they brought the car home in a solid second place for the Class Gs. Not terrible, considering everything they encountered along the way. And they definitely are, when the wheels are rolling, the fastest crew on track in the G-Class. For the D20 crew of Johan Besson and Divan Kutsia, they were involved in a three-way dice for the Class D honours throughout the whole race day until they got beached on a mound with just a few kilometres to go. Eventually, the S21 of Peter Fourie came along and pulled them off the mound, but they'd lost a ton of time and had to settle then for third place in the Class Ds. Up the road from them in the Class D battle, Tion Statoy and James O'Mahony had the added advantage in the main race of having had struck a bird in the prologue, breaking out their windscreen. At speed, the screen was causing problems, caving in, and eventually the wipers couldn't clean anymore. They decided to kick it out and reach the finish line at the end of an excellent day, second place in Class D, with smiles and dirty faces to boot. Once again, the Class D battle starting to really build as we close in towards the end of the season. It seemed in the G-Class, if you didn't get out the car and have issues, you were going to be rewarded with some good results. No issues at all, and knowing they were in the lead on the last loop, Peter Walter and Sean de Villiers kept it safe and steady to consolidate their lead, looking at the victory. And so it was that they reached the finish line for the victory and a deserved run in the championship. They certainly wanted that one, and they will now start becoming championship players with just a few rounds to go for the Inland Off-Road Championship for the Class Gs. Consistency is the story of the day for Walter and de Villiers. Crew in the S21, Peter Fourie and Keith Smith, with both driver and navigator performing better in the main race than they had done in the prologue, Peter and Keith picked up their pace considerably. Their only niggle was hurting their clutch, and they pulled the D20 off the mound as well, close to the end of the race, and finished the event in second gear. A great first place in Class S was their just rewards for being the good guys on the track, and on the day, the best guys too. Stoppie Meinhard and Adrian Roots in the Star Lubricants Caltex Dello Cruiser claimed pole in their class for the prologue, and although the rest of the field did their very best to challenge them for the top honours, they fended them off and led from start to finish. This makes it for Meinhard and Roots 3 starts, 3 finishes, and 3 wins in a row. If ever Terence thought that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, it was confirmed here, big time. Taryn took to her role as navigator very well, and the pair had one of those rare get in, get out races. No punches, no mechanicals, no problems. They didn't put a foot wrong and strolled to a great and relatively easy looking second place in Class T. Great drive from Terence and a phenomenal debut navigator run for Taryn. Alfredo Duster of Johan van Staden, now with Corné Durant, his chief engineer, on the notes. They were one of those get in, get out drives as well. A very rare situation, but it seems to be how to get the job done. Everyone says, get out there, don't make any mistakes, and then you've got a very good chance of getting it done. The pair sailed through the race to consolidate their prologue qualifying position and kept that for the race, namely 3rd overall and 2nd in Class FIA. A great job to Corné, who's very rarely on the notes, and a standard option, super fast and controlled drive, saw Johan van Staden sail the Class FIA spec and now highly sprung Alfredo Duster all the way home, and laden now with silverware once again. Hard charging as ever, and also encountering zero mechanical issues, placed the Class T Ford Racing Ranger of Malcolm and Frans Koch in charge of their class. They won out in the Class Ts and came home in 2nd place overall. That's where they qualified in the morning. That's where they remained in the race. Always aggressive, always fantastic to watch. And with no issues, no punches, it was a banging result once again for the father and son pairing. That meant there was only one crew up the road, not as clean as they started the day, but in the championship showing a clean pair of heels to everyone else out there. This crew, the Redline Motorsport Nissan Navara, now for 2020 running the Dragon Energy colours, leading from the front after qualifying 1st overall. Ernst and Henry were simply unstoppable on the day. The crew won their class and took the overall production win as well to cap off a simply perfect day for them. They'd had to make some crazy passes out there. They turned consistently the fastest laps of anyone else and were able to extend off the front so that no one else could get even within their dust. In the last couple of seasons, it seems like this pairing have figured things out. Qualify well, run well, maximize your advantage, and get the job done. They are the crew to beat in the Inland Off-Road Championship Series. Here's a confirmation of the breakdown of the results throughout all the classes. In Class A, no surprise there, Dion Boyens and Gilly Leroux charged from the back of the pack to beat out Telford and Buerta. And in Class B's, it was the ladies, Colin Croshaw and Marina van Skalkbeek, the only finishers in their category. For the Class P's, Tony and Mike Gavea, those long nights in the workshop paid off as they brought their car to its first victory here at Lichtenburg. And in the Class FIAs, the overall winners, Ernst Roberts and Henry Kerner, beating out Johan van Staden and Corné Durant. Class T was all about Malcolm and Andre Koch, beating Terence and Taryn Marsh for the wins. And in the Class S, Peter Fourie and Keith Smith bring home the only finishers in category. For the competitive Class Ds, it's once again Meinhardt and Roots that chop the charts. They are yet to be beaten on the season. In Class E, Visa and Besson showed a clean pair of heels to Smith and Root. And for the always exciting Class Gs, it was Walter and de Villiers that won out ahead of the hard-charging Bierman and de Beer, and the debutants, Jacobs and Backfisher, rocked it to a 3rd place, their first time out. There were some interesting stories after this one.
Hi there, Ferdy Petersen here, co-driver for A30. I raced today with Lawrence Boyson in my favorite car, the Green Bat. We were going like a bat out of hell, and we qualified 4th. So we were full of hope for the race, and we were running a strong 4th place overall, leading Class A by quite a fair margin, and 400 meters from the end of the first of 3 loops on the main race. Unfortunately, going into a right-hand corner slow at about 40-50 k's an hour, we think a bolt on the rear suspension snapped and we rolled over 1.5 times. Unfortunately, putting us out of the race, but you know what, we enjoyed it and we'll be back.
And the experienced John Telford also had a tale to tell at Lichtenburg.
It was a tricky race today, to be honest with you. So our accelerator pedal came off on the first loop, just as we managed to pass Terence Marsh and put some distance on him. So we got to the pits luckily with a bit of barbed wire, and spent about 20 minutes, half an hour repairing, and then we went flat out. And yeah, I had a clean run, except for the mud holes, you can see.
And that's a wrap from round 3 of the Ural Trucks Fila Africa Inland Off-Road Championship. The M&J Motors Rousseau Fuel Station Lichtenburg 250. Next on the calendar is the Stella 250 on the 3rd of October. We'll be out there and we'll report back once again with this amazing action.